Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bensalem Township Council meeting. Today's date is October 28th, 2024. I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silent meditation, followed by a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to introduce you to our members up at the dais this evening, so you know who we are. And starting to my extreme left, we have Phil Worcester. He's our township engineer. Debbie McBreen, she's our council secretary. And then to the extreme right, we have Ken Ferris, our attorney, along with Joe Pizzo, also our solicitor. Of course, you know him. And then we have the Honorable Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo. Our council members are, I'm going to go to my left, your right. We have Michelle Benitez, we have Joe Polari, and then over to my extreme right, we have Joe Knowles, Stacy Champion, Ahmed Kisselbeck, and we have the Honorable Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo here this evening with us. And for the Girl Scouts, listen to me, a special treat. We have Troop 21608. That's a heck of a number. That's our troop, and they were here to visiting the mayor this evening, but you have a special treat because I don't see... Our district attorney, Jen Shorn, is here. Oh, here she is, right here. Would you stand up?
I was talking about all the Girl Scouts.
And can you just give them one word of where you are and what you're doing, if you would?
I am the district attorney for all of Bucks County, which means technically I'm the chief law enforcement officer for all of Bucks County, so I get to work with great chiefs of police like the chief of Bensalem, Chief McDay, and guess how many other police departments? Give a guess. Oh my gosh, you are the first person to ever guess it right. I go to community events and no one has gotten that right. 39. That was impressive.
So what do you have for her, Bill? What do you have for her? She guessed it.
Deputy Director Race has something. He is a
Deputy Director Race has it, as always. With those introductions, and the girls are going to stay here for as long as they can, or as long as they would like. They're invited to be here, but I'm sure you don't want to be for the entire meeting. But just to get an idea how government works, we're certainly pleased to have you here. And are you girls you must be 6 to 8, is that about right? Yeah. Okay. Are you 6? You're not 6. Okay. All right. So she's a ringer, huh? Okay, well, thanks for being here with us. All right, at this time, we have the presentation of the Bensalem Civilian Life Saving Award is going to be delayed into the month of November. And so that's going to be off the agenda this evening. And I'd like to move to agenda item number 3, which is public comment, and that's on agenda items only. If you would like to come up, you can comment on any agenda item. However, you will have the opportunity, as each item is brought up, to comment at that time. Okay? So no one coming up. I want to close agenda item number 3. I want to move on to agenda item number 4, which is approval of the council minutes for meeting September 23rd, 2024. If there are no changes, deletions, or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as presented.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I'll second.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those against, abstentions, that is unanimous. And we're moving on to agenda item number 5. This is a consideration of public hearing on an ordinance establishing and creating Chapter 134, Local Game Devices of the Township Code, amending the following chapters: 64, Business Chapter 103, Games of Chance, Chapter 160, Peace and Good Order, Chapter 210, Taxation, and repealing all inconsistent ordinances and establishing an effective date thereof. This is agenda item number 5. I'm going to ask our director of, I'm going to ask the mayor to start first, if you would like.
Yes, thank you.
Wait a minute, Joe.
Mayor, just before you start, Mr. Kisselback, you may want to, so that
Oh,
members
you're
of the
right.
public who are here for items 8 and 9, although they may want to sit through the hearings on the next several items, we may want to announce to the public that the applications, agenda items number 8 and 9, which are the lot line change, or I'm sorry, just item 8, the lot line change for Ken Fleck, Fall Pen 2, which is a property located at 2975 Galloway Road, the former Giles and Ransom property. I know public notice was sent out by the applicant advising them of the hearing tonight, and some of the surrounding neighbors have been here at prior meetings anticipating this matter would be heard. Council received from the applicant a request to have this evening's hearing tabled to the council meeting of November 25th at 7 p.m. The reason being that the rezoning that's going to be done as part of the consideration of that lot line change needs to be publicly advertised and needs to go through the Planning Commission. And so in order for that to happen before council can consider it, that will require the consideration of the lot line change to be tabled out a month. So anyone who is here this evening, if council grants the continuance request, anyone who's here tonight for the Full Pen application, again, the former Giles and Ransom site, if council moves in the fashion requested by the developer, the hearing on the matter will be on November 25th at 7 p.m. and no further notice would be sent to you. So you're being advised this evening that that's when the hearing will take place.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's going to be based on the motion put on the floor from the council members. First of all, we know that agenda item number 8 is off the agenda for this evening, and I'd ask the council members to make a motion that we move that to the date of November 25th as requested.
Make a motion to table item 8 for applicant Ken Fleck, Full Pen 2, located at 2975 Galloway Road, to be tabled to a date certain of 11/25.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We need a second.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second on the motion. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. And against the abstentions? That is unanimous. And thanks, Joe.
Thank
Sorry
you,
about
Mr.
missing
Kisselback.
that one. All right, Mayor, we're on agenda item number 5. I'd like you to comment, if you'd be kind enough, on that.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last couple of years, we have gotten so many complaints to me and about skilled games and what's going on there. And so I turned it over to our police department. They're the people that enforce law and order in this town. And so they came up, I think, with a good ordinance to satisfy on certain areas where they'll be allowed. And this will be part of our discussion tonight. And I'll turn it over to our director, Bill McVeigh, and certainly our DA is also here to make comments, and Bill will introduce her.
Billy, if you'd be kind enough to come up. Bill's our Director of Public Safety. Also with him, we have the Deputy Director, Bob Race. Okay, you're on.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Kisselback and all council. Mayor, thank you. And to the Bensalem community, that's who we really want this message to get out to, and I am hopeful that this ordinance will pass with council's approval. As the mayor had stated, this started about 2 years ago. He had brought this to my attention. As he had said, he had received calls from the community, and he had asked that I take a look at the skills games and what was happening in the township, and is there any concern for public safety because of how they were growing within the township. And I don't know how I want to say this, but I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you, how it's grown over our 2 years of monitoring. So in 2023, Lieutenant Bush, who's at my right, he had a team of people go out, and they did an assessment of the township. What we found is around 100 machines. 2024, 40% increase, we're at 170 machines. These machines are in local delis, restaurants, bars, 7-Elevens, and other establishments that aren't regulated for any type of gaming. And in particular, what really sticks out to me and what we've been monitoring over these 2 years is the increased level of crime associated with these gaming machines because of no regulation. And three things I think that I looked at, or two really, they're unregulated, and it could jeopardize the quality of life we have here in Bensalem. Two recent crimes that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention associated with these machines. Route 1 gas station, there's a picture here. You can go to the next slide, please, Lieutenant. And an individual played machines for about 3 hours at a Route 1 gas station. I assume he didn't win, and he decided to rob the merchant with a replica gun and a knife before fleeing. Our officers, thankfully in patrol, were able to catch him and send him to Bucks County Prison. Earlier in the year, at Street and Knights at a gas station there, an individual was in there playing the skills machines. The vendor came to load the machines with cash. This individual was able to steal $190,000 of cash before he fled. And he didn't just flee and hide. He went to our neighboring municipality, Levittown, went into another gas station, chose to smoke crack cocaine while playing a skills machine there. And what I say to the council here is, no kid, we have children here today, should ever have to walk into a gas station or a 7-Eleven with their parent with some guy smoking crack or displaying a handgun because he just lost playing the skills machine. So those two cases, in addition to other crimes that have been committed in Bensalem Township over the past 2 years, was enough for me and our mayor to say it's enough is enough and to move forward. We consulted with the district attorney who's here, Jen Shorn, early on in this process, and we wanted to make sure legally we were going the right direction. We knew it was the right thing, but that legally we would have her backing. And thankfully, we have a DA who took the stand, same as us, to move forward with this ordinance. And I believe with the mayor, we spoke about this, there's three things that we want this ordinance to accomplish. Number one is always the priority of the mayor and council and the police department for sure, is to prioritize public safety. That never takes second. Number two is to maintain the quality of life for all our residents and mainly our children. And number three was to require regulations of these machines. Because I already said there was a 40% growth in 1 year. I can only imagine 5 years from now to be 1,000 of them. And who knows where that would stop. I'm very confident after helping prepare and read this ordinance that it'll accomplish all three of those goals. And it'll keep Bensalem, as the mayor has coined, a business-friendly, but more important, family-friendly township for business, that we don't have to worry about this crime really opening the door for more crime to Bensalem in these types of environments. I'm very thankful that the mayor brought this to my attention so that my team could do their job. And like I said, I was quite shocked at this. I'm still shocked at this. And I'd like to call up, when I'm done my remarks, our district attorney, Jen Shorn, who will address the problem she is seeing county-wide and how her office views this. And I've had the privilege and honor to work with Jen for about 27 years on many, many high-profile cases. And she evaluated this case the same way she does every case, thoroughly with her team. And I'm happy to say that she had the same feelings that we had about the problems this can cause to a community and how it can deteriorate that quality of life. So we're very, very happy to be working with a DA who wants to go in this direction and who's looking out for the residents and the people who come to Bensalem. So at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce District Attorney Jennifer Shorn.
Thank you, Chief McVeigh. I want to thank Councilman Kisselback and your fellow council members for having me here. But most importantly, I want to thank the mayor and Chief McVeigh and his staff, but all of you for being on the forefront with this issue. You know, I'm looking at our Girl Scouts here today, and you know, they're so innocent, and you know, I'm saying maybe 3 or 4 years, perhaps maybe their parents would allow them to do what I was allowed to do when I was about 11, go to the 7-Eleven down the street with my friends and go buy some candy and a soda. And to think now that our kids could walk into an establishment like the one depicted here, that gentleman is smoking crack cocaine in that image with his cash out in front of the skills machine where you see the Pepsi cooler right next to it and you see the candy directly behind it. If that doesn't ring a bell, that this is why there needs to be regulation and monitoring of these machines. They appear to be slot-style machines. that skirt the law with a game of chance, but by all accounts, they are growing in numbers that we can't even fathom. I think I couldn't say it better than Chief McVeigh, a 40% increase. And what we're seeing along with that is the increase of violent crimes like an armed robbery, replica gun or not. I can assure you that clerk didn't know it was a replica gun when it was held to the clerk's face, and certainly law enforcement might not know, and who's to say the next person isn't going to use a true firearm. We have seen in parts of the county where these machines have been broken into, other high-dollar thefts, but there is no question we are just on the verge of seeing a true uptick in crime as these machines can continue to grow if they're not properly regulated. What the solicitor for Bensalem Township has done is remarkable. He put so much thought in after speaking to all of us, the law enforcement arm, but to then, to try to figure out a solution for this township. And it's remarkable because I think that it truly allows for not prohibiting them completely, but putting them in the places where they should be, where they can be properly monitored, where we don't risk kids or people, someone mentioned their spouse going to grab a carton of milk and being, in front of 3 people gaming for hours. And, there's a reason why legal gaming facilities, they can refuse people. If the people pose a threat or don't comply to rules, they can refuse them. But where are they going? They're then going here. They're going into your delis, they're going into your gas stations, they're going into your 7-Elevens. And you're drawing upon people who already are causing trouble in other facilities or readily admit they have a gambling addiction or so on, insert the issue. So it is so important to do what you're all, I hope not presuppose anything, but what we're attempting to do here tonight, to regulate them in a proper, fair way to protect our community and make sure we continue to have the wonderful community that Bensalem is. And I can guarantee other townships and municipalities are watching and are likely to follow suit. And we know strength in numbers, and it's going to keep our 39 municipal police departments from having to deal with the uptick in crime that these machines draw on. So thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I think that our solicitor should explain the ordinance and where it's going to be allowed, how it's allowed, so you understand the ordinance. So, Joe?
Joe, do you want to generally just go over it, and then if we have specific questions in order, we'll take it from there? How's that sound?
Certainly, Mr. Kisselback. As the public may or may not be aware, legislation was introduced in the Senate of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania earlier this year, Senate Bill 1142. And one of the prime sponsors of that bill is our state senator, Frank Farry. And what that bill attempts to do is to create a scheme of regulation for the skill games that have been described by the district attorney and by our director of public safety. That legislation is, I believe, in committee right now out in Harrisburg. I believe I'm correct when I say that in discussions regarding the idea of regulating these machines and bringing them under the umbrella of the State Gaming Commission, Governor Shapiro has expressed support for that idea. So what the trend seems to be moving toward is bringing these devices under some sort of regulatory scheme, and it would certainly be the township's preference if the state were to, in fact, move forward and move this legislation out of committee, approve it, get the governor's concurrence so that these machines, if they are going to exist, will be regulated in the same fashion that slot machines are at any number of the facilities throughout the Commonwealth where they are currently exist and where they are currently permitted to legally operate. Until that happens, We took Senate Bill 1142 and used that as our starting point for our scheme of proposed legislation to address the machines. And so what the ordinance before you this evening will do, if council adopts it, is to otherwise prohibit the placement and operation of local gaming devices within the Township of Bensalem. And local gaming devices, as defined, and we took the definition to mirror that which is in the state law. Our hope is that if the state law is eventually passed, what we'll have on the books will to some extent mirror what the state may ultimately adopt. So local gaming devices, skill games, will be prohibited within the township. There is an exception, and that exception is similar to what Senate Bill 1142 proposes. And the exception would be that if you have a facility within the township that has a valid state-issued liquor license, a liquor license issued by the Pennsylvania LCB, whether it is, again, let me reference so I don't say anything incorrect, a restaurant liquor license, a brewery liquor license, a limited distillery liquor license, a limited winery liquor license, or a brewery pub limited license that's in good standing with the LCB, then your facility would be allowed to have up to 3 of the local gaming devices. If you have an active club liquor license, and that would typically be the VFW, the Knights of Columbus, those kinds of fraternal or similar organizations. If you have in an organization that has an active club license, you would be allowed to have no more than 5 of the local gaming devices in your facility. A number of those facilities rely on those machines, the VFW, the Knights of Columbus, and inasmuch as all of these facilities are subject to state regulation, they have to comply with a set of rules in order to maintain their liquor license in good standing. The administration thought that the Senate bill would allow it in these numbers, and it made sense for the township to similarly recommend it in these numbers. Again, we're not looking to do anything far afield from what's been proposed within the State House. In those cases where you have a valid liquor license and choose to have these machines in your facility, to the point that was raised by the mayor, by the DA, and by the Director of Public Safety, they will have to be segregated so that they're not accessible to children. They will have to be in a location within the facility so that the proprietors of the facility, whether it's someone behind the bar or someone watching the door, will be able to see who goes in and who goes out to make sure that they're not accessible and in view to children. And we're going to require that they be monitored by video surveillance, similar to what we require from some other commercial facilities within the township, namely pawn shops, to have video monitoring of the area that would be accessible to our local law enforcement should there be an issue similar to those that were described by the district attorney and by the Director of Public Safety. And it's going to be clear that at no time within the township is a minor permitted to play a local gaming device or to enter into a segregated local gaming area. So those are what the township ordinance proposes in terms of where they would be located, how they would be allowed to operate, where they are located, and otherwise the township is going to, if council approves the proposed ordinance, is otherwise going to prohibit them throughout the township. The ordinance goes on to provide a series of provisions as to how the ordinance would be enforced. One thing that is very important to know is that the administration is not recommending that the township be in the business of seizing these machines. We don't want to incur the liability. We don't want to be responsible for anything that might happen to the machines. And so the ordinance provides for, if you have a machine in a business where machines are not permitted to be, the township's going to revoke the use and occupancy permit for that facility until such time as the offending machine is removed. So it's going to be placed upon the owner of the property or the owner of the machine to take care of getting it out of where it's otherwise not going to be allowed to be if this ordinance is adopted. The township is not going to be in the business of confiscating or storing these machines. Beyond that, as many of you know, the township, in those instances where there's an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license coming from an outside municipality into the township, the current laws allow for a hearing before this body, allows you to impose whatever conditions you require in order for a facility to get a liquor license that comes into the township. And in those instances, it allows for you to include the creation of a segregation area for machines if the vendor where the liquor license would be going intends to have them. And finally, as they currently exist today, these machines are, under our Township Code, considered to be mechanical amusement devices. That definition will change with the adoption of this ordinance. But currently, these machines are treated like pinball machines or other kinds of machines, and the township, where we know about them, collect a tax. A sticker gets put on the machine, and an annual tax of $80 is collected by the township. Going forward, since these machines will no longer be permitted in the township, those machines that we were collecting that tax from, we will no longer be collecting tax. So this is not something that's going to result in a benefit to the township from a taxation standpoint. To the contrary, the township is going to lose revenue by now prohibiting those machines that we know about. Those machines that will be permitted in the places with the liquor licenses, the township is not changing the tax. So the $80 tax that was in place yesterday, if you adopt this ordinance, will be in place tomorrow. This is not an opportunity for the township to seize on this new legislation to somehow change the revenue, the small amount of revenue that the township obtains from these machines. This is very much, at the end of the day, as you've heard from all the speakers, so I won't belabor the point, written with an eye toward health, safety, and welfare of this community, especially our youth and our teenagers. A 16-year-old can walk into a gas station on Route 1 right now, coming out of the Nottingham neighborhood, and in the 3 gas stations along that stretch, there's at least 20 machines collectively. And they can walk in there, and depending on whether the clerk behind the desk cares to stop them or not, can sit and play a slot machine, what is effectively a slot machine, for as long as they choose until they run out of money. It's something that we don't want to see in this township. You've made that clear to all of us. That's the way that this ordinance is written, to address that, and hopefully and ultimately the state will do its due diligence and assume its responsibility, and once and for all make a determination as to how these machines should be regulated and how they should be treated under the state's gaming laws. But until that time, this ordinance, as the district attorney said, as Director McVeigh said, and certainly as the mayor said, this is going to put us on the forefront and may very well put us in the crosshairs from this industry. But and that's something that everyone should be alerted to as well. But if the township has the resolve and you wish to move forward with the ordinance, it has been properly advertised in the Bucks County Courier-Times, and it is otherwise in a form ready for your consideration and approval this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pizzo. I have, well, the first question you already answered, which is the definition of 3 local gaming devices in a restaurant, as well as 5 in the clubs, which would be VFW Post and Knights of Columbus. I wasn't sure what was happening there, but you explained it very well. And then the next question I have is where it talks about cease and desist, and I'll read this one sentence, and I'm sure it's explained, but I don't quite understand it. But permanently revoke the use and occupancy permit for the premise, facility, establishment, and/or location where the local gaming devices are located. When it defines location, does that mean within the store, like if it was like to the rear of the store on the right side, that specific location will be a cease and desist, or does it mean the entire premise would be a cease and desist?
The entire premises would receive a cease and desist. And you note that the section you're reading says permanently revoke. The ordinance is written so that that is the final step in the process under enforcement by the township. Initially, a property owner, a business operator will receive a notice that you're now in violation of the ordinance by having this machine at your location within your establishment. You have a certain amount of time to remove it. If it's not removed within that period of time, then a citation will be filed with the local district justice, and, excuse me, the use and occupancy permit will be temporarily revoked until either the machine is removed or until the hearing has taken place in front of the district justice. The permanent revoking of the use and occupancy permit would essentially be for repeat offenders,
Okay.
where the township has gone out, told them to remove them, and perhaps they have, but then the machine reappears. So repeat offenders run the risk of ultimately having their use and occupancy permit permanently revoked. But again, there is a due process in place that involves the local district justice and a court hearing to ultimately determine whether there's a violation of the township ordinance.
And then the last and final question I'll have for you is, with this ordinance, Bensalem Township itself would have jurisdiction over any penalties and implementation of fines and things like that. When the state comes in with their, was it Bill 1144, whatever it was, is that correct?
1142.
1142, will they have jurisdiction over us as far as that part of the process?
Our hope and expectation is that if 1142, at least as currently constituted, becomes law, then to a certain extent, a vast majority of our ordinance would become moot, because the state will have now stepped in and will have set state regulations for these devices. As you know, as we happen to be a host community for a gaming facility, we have no jurisdiction over what happens within that building. That is entirely regulated by the state, by the
Okay.
State Gaming Commission.
All
So
right.
our hope is that the State Gaming Commission will take authority over these devices as well.
Okay, that's what I had thought, but I wasn't sure. Okay, that's my question. Does any other council members have questions relative to,
I have a question.
go ahead.
When the original bill was passed by the State House and Senate, did they come to the township and present that to us and say to us, look, we're looking to present this, is this a problem? Might this be a problem in your community? Or did they just take up the vote and pass it? Do you have an answer for that one?
I believe that the Senate Bill 1142, Senator Farry, I know, has had discussions over the course of the last year or two with me as to what it was he was proposing to do, and asking me if the skill games were an issue within the township. So I can only speak to the conversations I had with the senator, but I shouldn't say obviously. I don't know to what extent Senator Farry, I should point out that Senator Sanacero, who's also from Bucks County, is also a sponsor of this bill. So it enjoys bipartisan support in Harrisburg from the two state senators representing the lower part of Bucks County. But did Senator Farry come before all of you and present the bill before he introduced it? No, he did not. No, Joe?
I have another question for you. My other question is, if we're taking this away from stores, 7-Elevens and all that, why are we not taking away from bars and restaurants and stuff that if they're drinking and they're getting this, they can be just as much of a danger to the community, and the kids walking around playing in the parking lots or playing by their houses if there's a car chase or a gun chase. I mean, if we're going to do it, we should do it all the way and say, let's protect our township. If the state government decides to do something else, then let them do it. Why are we going to let some businesses do it and others not? That's a question I have for the board. So.
And a fair question, Mr. Polari, and certainly if ultimately in the deliberation of this ordinance, you collectively believe that a complete prohibition throughout the township is what you want to pursue, that is certainly something that we wouldn't be able to do that tonight, but we could certainly modify this ordinance to go down that path. The answer to your question, why we chose to allow the machines at the businesses that are licensed by the state is essentially it mirrors what 1142 says. So 1142, Senate Bill 1142 would allow local gaming devices at the same kinds of businesses and establishments in the same kinds of numbers. And again, what we thought, or what I recommended to the administration, was that we should try and keep that aspect of this proposed ordinance as close to what the state is considering as we can. But to your point, if we wanted to expand or contract the universe of facilities where they're allowed or prohibited, it's certainly something we can do. But with an eye toward 1142 hopefully becoming law, or some variation of it, as a starting point, we thought that it made the ordinance, it made the most sense to have the ordinance mirror what was being discussed and contemplated as what may ultimately be state law.
And I understand that, and they did that law without coming to talk to us and not putting the people that are going to be in the crosshairs of this, as they might say. But now they've got another bill coming on. Now we're going to have a say. But I think that we should, if we're going to take it away from some businesses, we should take it away from all businesses and protect the people of Bensalem. Everywhere in Bensalem, every street, every roadway, every shopping center, to keep people safe. If we're going to do it for that reason, then we should do away with it for all, and that's my opinion.
Is my interpretation of this is these are facilities that are controlled by the Liquor Control Board. Therefore, it would be adult facilities such as a bar or a club, and it would not include children being in those facilities, and that would help regulate what they're illegally doing now. And I mean, that's the reason I thought that they picked those particular facilities.
So you're saying bars can have it, but restaurants can't. They're a bar. They're done by the LCB. They protect all that. So you're going to tell the restaurant that might have families there eating and doing things that they can have them, but take them away from other business. You are putting people in danger. You are putting children in danger. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And if the state wants to do something different like they did the first time, then I think that we have the right and the ability to, and we should protect all the residents of Bensalem. And to if the state wants to do something different, then let the state do it. But I think we, as a board, should protect the people of Bensalem. If we're going to take away from one, take away from all, and let the state do their thing. Just my opinion.
Any other comments from council members?
I do have a question. If this were to move forward, it's effective immediately, correct?
By state law and by Township Code, if council were to approve this ordinance this evening, the mayor has up to 10 days to either approve it or veto it. I don't want to speak for the mayor, but assuming he were to sign it this evening, as I anticipate he might since he has championed this cause now for some time, then the effective date for the ordinance would be 10 days from the date the mayor signs it.
Okay, and then when would notice be provided to those proprietors?
I believe that the discussion has been that once the mayor signs the law, the township will put together a letter to go out to the facilities where we know the 170 some odd machines are located, and let those that don't have active restaurant or brewery or club liquor licenses know that the machines are now prohibited, and to let those that do have the active licenses know what the numbers are that they're limited to have. And then beyond that, the township, in those locations where the township is not aware, will begin to as we go about the normal daily practice of the code officials doing inspections in building, the fire inspectors doing inspections in building, and the police responding to calls in buildings. When they observe the machines, and they observe them in locations that they now know them to be prohibited, the township can begin the process of notifying the property owner and beginning the process of getting that machine out of the places where it's otherwise not permitted to be.
Yeah, I'd just like to add real quickly that I agree that the bars and the restaurants that have liquor license and the clubs that have liquor license, they have requirements under the state already that they can lose their liquor license, they can be suspended their liquor license. We're making them video the camera area, they have to be in a separate area, the chance skills. And we're also mirroring it to the state because there's an industry that's going to come back on this, and we have to be in a position that we think we're going to be able to have something that's going to stand. Okay, if we get too strict with it, we're going to lose in court prior to that, in my opinion. And I'd just like to thank the DA for coming out, and the DA and Bill McVeigh, she came out again tonight. She came out to an executive session and answered all our questions. And I think that they studied this. It's a bipartisan bill put together. It was put together a certain way. So I think it's good the way it's presented, personally.
Any other comments or questions from our council members? Stace?
I see both sides. I see Mr. Polari's point. I see how it's been presented. I do believe that many of these places, specifically if it's like in a convenience store, which may be open 24 hours a day, as compared to a liquor license place, they have various hours where they have to be closed, or they have to close at. So I think it reduces chances. I see both sides. And I think that, to Mr. Knowles' point, we are trying to do it the best that is for everything to make sure it does stand.
I'd like to add to that. I do agree with both of you, all of you. You know, in a situation with a bar, there are certain precautions in place, there are certain people in place, and there's a certain way to handle things. With VFWs and such, there's a members-only aspect to that, so they know who's coming in. And I think that our DA and our police department did their due diligence. They did a lot of research for a lot of years and put all of this data together. I feel truly that if they felt that those were areas of concern, that would have been incorporated in this ordinance. And it's, hey, more to come. But I think this is a great start to push things in the right direction. This is something that I can tell you, being on the Bucks County Association of Township Officials Board, other townships, other municipalities are looking at countywide. And those boards meet at the state level every year, and across this state, we'll be having these conversations. So what we are doing today is basically piloting, being a pioneer in this. We're taking off and we're setting the tone for what it's going to look like in our county and at the state level. And I think that it's appropriate to fall in line with the Senate Bill 1142 coming from Senator Sanacero and Ferry. This is a way that we're going to get things done across the board. It's also going to avoid any disruption. If we go and we try to move forward on something and do more what the state is considering, and we have to pull back on it at a later time, it's really just going to be a disruption to local business. So I want to thank you for being here, your presentation, and the hard work that you've put into this for many years.
Mr. Pizzo, I have another question. Is there anything in the bill about police protection or having security in the facilities that have these gaming machines and so forth? Because it's a burden on our police department to have to go and do this. Shouldn't these places, if they're going to make money on these machines that are going on, pay for security so our police officers don't have to go out and risk their lives and other lives in the community to take care of any problems that are in their facility with these? They have security and stuff in the casinos. Why wouldn't they have to have them in the bars, restaurants? Is it liquor stores? Is it beer distributors? It's all that, I guess. So shouldn't they have to have paid security to protect the people of Bensalem and to make sure that our police department doesn't have to fight these things on a regular basis? I mean, these are all things that the state doesn't come and talk to us before they put these in. They put the bill together because a bunch of people are talking to them about, hey, we think this is a good idea, it's a good money maker, blah, blah, blah. Why don't they come to us first and ask our input before we do this? Why are we mirroring their bill when they didn't come to us with this bill in the first place?
Fair question, Mr. Polari. There are a number of aspects of the Senate bill, and again, understand that the Senate Bill 1142 is not law. So at this point, it's pending legislation. And there are certain aspects to it that we did absolutely nothing with, because ultimately 1142 would create a scheme of regulation by the state of these machines and how they, all the sorts of things you're talking about, security, whether the owners of the machines or the operators of the machines are going to have to be licensed, what sort of licensing is going to be in place, whether they're going to have to pay tax on these machines the way that slot machines pay tax. There are a whole lot of aspects in that Senate bill that did not matter to us, because what we were focused on is starting from the premise of this is a growing problem within the community. These machines are proliferating at a rapid rate. In some cases, we've got facilities that, again, it's a convenience store. It's not intended to be under either our scheme of zoning or as a community, a place where people are sitting on a stool, putting money into a machine, hoping to win money, and sitting there for hours on end, or to have these kinds of machines in our delicatessens, our laundromats, our pizza shops, wherever we may find them. And so the township started from the premise of saying, we're not going to allow them, but since the proposed legislation that's been introduced in the state is saying that they would be permitted in facilities that are otherwise currently licensed by the state, and as several of your fellow council people said, that are otherwise under the eye and under the scrutiny of the State Liquor Control Board, that if you have a bar in this township right now and things are happening in there that shouldn't, things are happening in there that are illegal, if the LCB finds out, you're putting your liquor license in jeopardy. Your liquor license can be suspended, it can be revoked. And so in a similar fashion, if the township is getting the benefit of having a state enforcement arm in place by having the Liquor Control Board there to oversee the businesses where, in many cases, these machines are located, and in most cases, in roughly the number that we're proposing. Most of the bars or taverns or restaurants in town that have them, very few of them have more than 3. And I think the most that I'm aware of, one place may have 5 or 6. So it's consistent with what's been happening today in facilities where, they are facilities that if alcohol is being served, it's to persons who are over 21. And if we're going to allow these machines to be in those premises, again, we're requiring the extra step of segregating the machines off in an area where they are not accessible to and hopefully not visible to children who may be accompanying their parents for dinner or a lunch at one of these restaurants. I doubt the children are going with their parents to breweries or wineries, but I'd be remiss if I said I knew exactly how that dynamic works. My children having all moved on from my concern of the same age of the girls that are Girl Scouts. But that's why we extracted that portion of 1142, the part to say, okay, if the proposed state legislation is going to allow them, let's follow that. City of Philadelphia, as some of you may or may not be aware, recently adopted, or earlier this year, adopted legislation along the same route. And the city's legislation followed a similar path in that it prohibited machines within the city, but does allow them in certain of the same kinds of establishment, restaurant, taverns. They do it based on the number of seats or the number of tables. I forget exactly what, but they're applying a different standard. And rather than the township getting bogged down on that sort of a standard, in discussing it with the administration and particularly with law enforcement, we thought, again, to the extent that the township may choose to allow them anywhere, those local businesses that otherwise have to answer to the state already would be a safe place to have them, where we wouldn't have to worry about some of the kinds of things that we're worried about with the 7-Eleven or the Shell gas station that has a series of these lined up with stools and no one paying attention to what's happening at them.
Now, the machines are owned by a company other than the bar itself. How do we know who's handling these machines? Who's legally responsible for those machines? How do we know that we're not putting this in the hands of people that shouldn't be doing this stuff? Does the legislation say anything about that? Do they have to be licensed with the state and with the township? Which I think the township should know that. So if there's a problem, they know where to go and what to do. I'm just looking at protection for the people of Bensalem. If we're going to do it, we should do it all together. And the state never gives us an opportunity to do this. And I'm sure if we weren't going to pass this law, the state wasn't going to come to us and say, hey, what do you think about this, Bensalem? I think that we need to take the responsibility to protect the people of Bensalem. And if the state does something, I mean, it takes it out of our hands anyway, because no matter what. I mean, we need to protect the people of Bensalem, and I don't know that we're getting all the protection of what's in the law, because I don't know the whole law. I've never seen the whole law. I don't know what they're trying to pass. They passed the machines without us knowing to begin with. I don't understand. So my opinion is this should be for everybody until the state does what they're going to do.
A fair question, Mr. Polari, and again, the bill that's pending in Harrisburg does speak to licensing and oversight of the owners and operators of these machines. It was my recommendation to the administration in that I was hoping to help all of you craft an ordinance that I believe would be A, enforceable, and B, would withstand any scrutiny that might come from future challenges. It was not my recommendation to all of you that, at least not today, that you get in the business of licensing or regulating or otherwise overseeing the owners of these machines. That is, I would suggest to you, within the purview of the state, and hopefully a task they will soon take up. In the meantime, just as it was not my recommendation that this legislation allow for the township to confiscate or store the machines, we're simply saying these machines, irrespective of who owns them, who operates them, who the company is behind them, what the business relationship is between the owner of the machine and the owner of the establishment where it's located, none of that is anything that the township is going to find itself in the midst of. Township is saying, if you adopt this ordinance, except for these few limited facilities otherwise licensed by the state, where no more than 5 or no more than 3 of these machines can be, we are otherwise simply prohibiting them within the township, irrespective of who owns them or any of the other aspects of it. And I believe that that is, for the township, the most enforceable as well as the most practical way to approach this.
I'm not in any way knocking you or the township for what we're doing here. It's not something that you have control of. It's a state thing that they're doing. And the state put this out in the beginning and put this out there legally that people can do these things. And I just, I think that if having these machines anywhere other than the casino, it still puts our police department and residents in harm's way. And I just, hopefully the state will take that up and protect the people of Bensalem and make these places have security. Because if they don't have security, then it's all going to be at the hands of our police department and our community.
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. Polari. In a perfect world, I wouldn't want any of these machines anywhere, but and like the DA said, this is like a little, they got through the rules saying it's a skill game, you know, and it has to be, I never played one of these, so I don't know, I probably don't have the skill to do it anyway, but if there was skill, but I believe that they're luck. I mean, you know, I don't know what skill it takes to sit in front of a machine and play it, but that they're saying that they're skilled games, but in a perfect world, I wouldn't want to see any of them anywhere. And I agree. I hope the state just wipes them out completely, and we don't have to deal with this, you know. But I think it's important to get something done here so we don't put people in danger that these places are getting robbed and these places are having drug use, and these are places that are more apt to have kids interacting with the public. But that's my opinion.
I would also point out, and I'll defer to Director McVeigh, but of the 170 some odd machines that the township is aware of as of last count from earlier this year, of the facilities that would qualify under restaurant license, there are 5 within the township, of which we know. So I would suggest that that's probably a manageable number for the Bensalem PD, as opposed to every convenience store, deli, pizza, laundromat, whatever it might be.
Shop.
So the police know where they are. If there are problems at those locations, and fortunately for those businesses in our township, I don't think that there are many, but if the police are called, the police are called. But it's certainly a manageable number, and not quite the burden on our police as it might be if they were allowed to continue to proliferate throughout the township unchecked.
Are there any other questions from our council members? At this time, I'll reserve that to be open in case you'd like to ask a question, because at this time, I want to open up this portion to public comment. Would anyone like to get up and speak on behalf of or against this proposal? And when you come up, please do come up here. We want you to give your name and your address, and we'll listen to whatever you would like to add.
Good evening. My name is Stuart Kahn. I live at 27 Freedom Lane in the Villas of Chancellor's Glen. Two questions. I don't believe I heard anybody mention anything about supermarkets that have beer and wine. Does this ordinance affect them? I haven't seen any of these machines myself, but you've mentioned a lot of different businesses, and almost all the supermarkets that we go to have beer and wine. Does this ordinance address them?
It's a good question, Stuart.
Mr. Pisa?
I am not an expert on the various categories of liquor licenses, particularly since the liquor code was revamped a few years ago to allow beer and wine in the supermarkets. Our ordinance would allow a facility holding an active restaurant liquor license. So I apologize. I don't know if the license that ShopRite or Acme have for their what amounts to a takeout beer and wine operation would fall within as an active restaurant liquor license. I know that the liquor licenses that, well, state stores obviously are where wine and spirits are sold, so that's not an issue. As far as takeout beer, that's a separate category of license. That's my understanding, and that's not one of the categories. So the takeout beer distributor would not be, the standalone takeout beer distributor would not be a location where these would be allowed.
Okay.
But, fortunately, at this point in time, I don't believe, again, Director McVeigh, that these machines are an issue in Acme or ShopRite or Giant, and at least in the supermarkets where I occasionally am sent by my wife, shelf space is already limited, so I don't know that they're going to give up valuable space for 2 or 3 of these machines to have their shoppers otherwise loitering in the Acme for that additional period of time. But I will, council, find out exactly what the category is, category of license that would apply to an Acme or a ShopRite.
Well, when they were given those licenses, they were limited in the capacity of what they could do, so I think that would answer the question right there.
Yes, certainly if anyone who's purchased wine or beer at any of the supermarkets in town, there's special registers from which you have to purchase it. They do have those restrictions in place to make sure and that was very much a concern of this board at the time when the law was first changing and the various shopping supermarkets in town were adding their beer and wine areas. And I think all of them have pretty well settled in on systems to make sure that minors aren't leaving our supermarkets with alcoholic beverages. But again, I don't know that it's part of Giant's or ShopRite's business model in any event to have skill games in anywhere in their stores.
Thank you. Don, can I just, I don't want to lay a big bomb on you, okay? However, I go back a long way in Philadelphia, and I can't believe that I'm sitting here listening to a long debate over these machines. I don't care what you call them, they're gambling machines, okay? Some innovative person decided to call them skill games. I was in the police department in Philadelphia. I've been retired for 35 years. But I distinctly remember a giant effort given to the Vice Squad, who went through all the bars and clubs, eliminating poker machines. At the time, they were illegal. Hundreds and hundreds. And I really appreciate what you said. Don't put the burden on the police department, because it shouldn't fall on them. I'm glad that the state is looking into it. But history repeats itself. These are very innovative, smart people. I'm not going to go into who owned the machines and who put them in there, because I don't want to go there, okay? But it's like history repeating itself. I hope that it's all resolved and we can get rid of these things and, you know, they're gambling machines. I don't care what you call it, okay? Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Please do come up, give us your name and your address. We have two gentlemen coming up, or just one? Okay. And your name is?
My name is Anthony Ricciardi. I'm owner of the gas station at Humeville and Park. I'd first like to say I have a high level of respect for law enforcement in the county and the township here. And I have a high level of respect for the local government. I had a business in Philadelphia, same business, for 30 plus years, and I moved here to Bensalem, and it's night and day. With that said, on the topic of skill games, I had 3 skill games in my establishment. When I put the skill games in there, I was assured by PA Skills that they'd gone through some court cases in PA, and they were legal to have. It's a game of, there's an element of skill in there, so it's a game of skill. We don't let children play them. The attendants are all instructed to watch the games. There's an element in the cash machine where you need to show a license to be 21 to be able to cash out a ticket. I'm sorry, but I came here unprepared. The only reason why I knew about this was because Action News stopped at my location and wanted to do an interview. I would have hoped that, you know, PA Skills would have known and they could have been here to also explain better. PA Skills and some other business owners, I don't think they were all aware. Otherwise, you'd have probably had a packed room. The PA Skills, the machines help us we're a small business, and it helps us paying the bills. It helps us with the payroll. It's that little bit in tough times that, you know, everything gets whittled away. It's getting whittled away for the small guy that helps us get over the hump. From what I understand, PA Skills is working with the state legislatures to get something passed and where there is more regulation on them. And like you said, the governor was going to sign off on something like that, and it hasn't gotten to that point yet. I respect any decision of the local government here, but I would maybe, if this could be tabled for maybe some more input from your business owners that, you know, are here and pay taxes and employ local people to give more of their input. Crime, I haven't had any at my establishment. I don't think there's been an increase of it because of the skills. We're a gasoline station, and by that nature, we handle a large volume of people. We have a PA lottery machine that is in our store that is a self-service machine. You know, that's a gambling machine. It's in the store also, just like it's in delis, restaurants, convenience stores, at all different establishments. I believe, I'm not 100% versed in this, but I understand that the PA Skills is actually, like I said, working with the state, but they're trying to get, I believe we're working with revenue to get revenue to oversee these machines. All I'm asking is maybe consider tabling this or getting more information from your business owners, because I was not aware. I understand that the meeting got advertised, but I was not aware, and I'm sure a lot of other business owners were not. And you know, we employ people there, you know, from the township, and you know, we pay our taxes also, and we do pay for the registration of the games. And like I said, I will respect any decision the council makes, but also maybe more information and would be better, because you know, the state is also doing the same thing.
The appropriate notification went out to the residents of Bensalem and businesses of Bensalem. How would they get to know that there would be another meeting on this, other than what we are responsible to do?
How would they get? So you said that you have a list of where these games are located in the township, or you have a list of businesses, could something be sent out to the businesses or the establishments that have the games? Or even PA Skills wasn't aware of this meeting, because I'm sure they would have been here, they could have notified the businesses to, express their opinion.
Anthony, I think that, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that you run an outstanding business there. It's very clean. People are very
Thank you.
courteous, okay? So you're kind of getting caught up in this a little bit. But unfortunately, we have other gas stations that don't run their gas stations like you run your gas stations. And we have smoke shops. We have, the DA showed me a picture of a parlor. It was called Lucky Parlor. It's supposed to be a skill game. The thing's called Lucky Parlor, where it was just machines, and it opened, they just put machines. So that Pennsylvania Skill Company is pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
So some of these in this picture here, I can't see very clear. I believe some of the machines are not PA Skill machines. There's other machines out there that have not gone through the PA court systems for the cases. It's only PA Skills that have.
I know, but I don't think that guy smoking crack knows where the machine came from.
No, I understand that. Like I said, I haven't seen the increased crime at my place. We do have a high volume of people that come through. We see everybody. We're a gas station.
I
everyone
understand
needs
that's,
gas.
you're one place, but we have the DA and our police chief who studied this for a couple of years now, and they're saying that there is. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
It's-
It didn't happen at your place because you
Coles-
run a nice place, you tend to get nicer
I know.
people, I guess.
Coles gets, I read the paper, Coles gets, you guys are watching Coles with drones because of all the shoplifting. People are going out with TVs. The casino, people leave their kids in the cars locked up while they're inside gambling. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, there's
Well,
crime, there's crime everywhere.
I agree with the
I don't-
gentleman that was up here before. I mean, I could be wrong, but Pennsylvania Skills may have attorneys that say it's a skill game. I don't think they're skill games myself personally. I think it's gambling, and they got around it by calling it a skill game. You know what I mean? And then people make money off it, and then the people who make money off it, the skill company is just going to push as much as they can to make them be able to have them, this Pennsylvania Skill Company. They want them, right? So they're going to keep pushing them. But unfortunately, we have to cut it off somewhere. And you may have had good luck so far and not had any incidents at your place, but people know it's in there. People, you're right off a street in Unionville Road, someone comes off 95, hey, here's a guy that's got skill games, he's got a lot of money in there, I'm gonna go rob the place.
We have a lot of money from collecting for the lottery also at the register.
Well,
Same with every other, gas station.
I know, but you're a gas station.
We're a gas station by nature. It's.
But gas station by
So
nature.
maybe we expand the ordinance to gas station. That's why all I'm saying is maybe, this needs to be looked at a little bit more.
We looked at it
Or,
pretty thoroughly.
the vape shops were grandfathered in, the ones that are already there. I don't see any other station owners or convenience store owners or bar, any of the other
I know, but
in
just
this room.
because, we put out proper notice for it, okay?
I understand
But
that.
just because 20 vape shop owners come here and say that they want skill games, doesn't mean we give them skill games.
I understand that. That's why I said.
So it's not like a vote by the vape
So
people.
maybe more information to the council from the industry. That's all
Okay.
I was saying, more information to the council
Okay.
from the industry.
All right.
You may see another side, you may not. And like I said, like I started this, I respect the township, I respect.
Yeah, I know you do, you're a good guy.
And that's what I'm going to abide by, but more information always better.
We've been studying this for a while, just to let you know, and so has the DA.
So have you consulted the actual industry that have these skill games? Like someone like myself or, anyone like that, the businesses, the actual industry? So Pennsylvania, I was in the auto repair trade. Pennsylvania inspection program, they consult, we have an association, Pennsylvania Gasoline and Retailers Association, and automotive trades, and PennDOT used to meet with the association, which was the repair industry, to consult to adjust the PA inspection and emission program. I would say this could be something similar to that.
Well, of course, the gas station owners are going to want to have them, because,
Of
of course, any gas station that's making money off them is going to want to have the
Like I
games.
said,
Don't you think?
all type of businesses that have them now are all trying to.
They're all
they're
gonna
a
want
business.
them.
They're in the business of
They're all gonna
trying
want
to
them.
make money.
They're all going to want them.
What's that?
Every business that has them, that makes money off them, is going to argue that they want them, because they make money off it, right?
Of course.
And if they pass a law, maybe I'll open up a place with 25 skill games and make money myself. I mean, if
Well,
it's legal, but
we said there's
they're
gonna
going to
be
want it, but we have to look at the...
Regulation, but maybe you need some more.
Well, we are making
some more
regulations.
information.
That's what we're doing.
Okay. I was just giving my public comment.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate your comment. I think it comes down to a quality of life issue, and that's what we're dealing with. We're looking at public safety and a quality of life in our township, and this is affecting it in many areas, and you do run a good business. I agree. I understand your point. I think that we need to take action because we're losing some of our quality of life here, and this is a way that we can mitigate some of that.
Yeah,
How much he's studying this?
I mean, I guess some businesses are getting caught in the crossfire.
if the association were, if the associations were,
Like I said, that's why I said,
Well, you've been
if you
lucky
can...
you haven't had an incident in your place. That's actually luck, not skill. It's actually luck that no one's robbed your place. Okay, so maybe you just got lucky that you haven't had a problem yet, okay? But you might have a problem next month or the month after. You don't know that, do you? So we can't just go by you.
Businesses throughout the township have problems. I mean, like
Well, I
I said, the
understand.
Kohl's gets robbed. I read it all the time. The Kohl's, you guys know that. It's in the
Well,
paper.
shoplifting's against the law, so.
So I would just like to comment, I applaud that nothing's happened in your facility, and it sounds like he does regulate, but I would go against that and say that this is important to go to council to vote tonight, because as our solicitor has said, it's been a proliferation. And where I would disagree with him is, these businesses didn't get into business to be gaming parlors. And what we're seeing is more and more, a 40% increase in 1 year, a 200% increase this year maybe. What do we have, 500, 1,000 in Bensalem? That is not a safe environment. That is not a business-friendly, family-friendly environment for people to go in, to buy soda, to buy gas, to get their kid something, or like the district attorney said, to send your child up to the 7-Eleven. I have a 16-year-old that might walk to 7-Eleven. I don't want her walking around 4 guys gambling. That's not what it's there for. And it has welcomed a criminal element to Bensalem. And I've been looking into this for 2 years, and it's my professional opinion they should not be allowed in the township except where this ordinance is proposing they be allowed due to the regulations that are in those facilities. I believe they can at least securely watch them. They have bouncers on location, trained staff, and they're in a secure location. So that was our professional development of this with the district attorney's office, and I believe it needs to go to a vote tonight, because I think if it doesn't, it's going to continue, and I don't know where it's going to end up going.
all right, thank you. My comment would be if, in fact, the manufacturers of these skill machines were brought into the conversation, don't you think they're going to say it's the greatest thing since chopped liver? I mean, a huckster doesn't say we have bad tomatoes today for sale. They tell you they're the greatest tomatoes in the world. Don't you think that's going to be their premise, that it's great because it's good for the businesses? And we're presenting our side, or at least the ordinance is presenting the side of regulating these machines to an appropriate location. I don't think that a gas station is an appropriate location for a gaming machine. That's my opinion. I do get my gas from you, by the way, and it is a great station.
I respect any decision of, but
Right.
I think more information that's, from the industry, and there's nobody here to give.
But we know what their opinion's going to be.
Okay.
They're going to be for it, don't you think? You think the industry's going to come here and be against it?
What about the
You think
business?
the industry's going to come and say...
What about the business owners?
You think the industry's going to come here and tell us the vote to shut it down, to shut down the industry?
What about the business owners?
Well, it doesn't,
Okay.
if gas stations and vape shops and vape places and cigar places and laundromats and gambling parlors, they can all say they want it. That doesn't mean we have to give it to them. Our public safety director just said it's dangerous, and we think it's dangerous. If we think it's dangerous, it's up to people what they vote. But it doesn't matter that every vape shop wants it or every gas station wants it. If we think it's dangerous, you just can't have it. It's a gamble. And it's dangerous. Our public safety director says it's dangerous. I'm going on that.
May I ask a question, Mr. Pizzo, in relation to Mr. Polari's comment? Mr. Khan's very astute comment, and to the other comments that are here in terms of safety and different things. The one thing that just came to mind is if Senate Bill 1142 does pass with all these regulations and with other things, while we may have said, 3 if you have certain types of liquor license and 5s at social clubs, with these other regulations that may be put in place by the state, which would supersede our regulations, these establishments that we may allow them in may no longer want them due to additional oversight and regulation being put upon them. So it would, in essence, almost phase it out in a sense to, it might not be worth it for the 5 that we are aware of, because we're only aware of the 170. I don't know, there could be ones that we don't have. And my concern, as Mr. Knowles had pointed out, is we do have vacant stores here, and we have nothing on the books as of today. And we do have some large vacant stores here, and somebody could go in and put them in, and kids could just walk in and they don't care, because to your point, sir, these skills, PA Skills, or these other companies that have them, they are there to make money, and the people who are putting them in are there to make money. And not saying that you do not do a good job, but there are the element that do not care to the extent that you do care. And I, as a parent and as a resident, and as a council member, am looking at the fact that Director McVeigh said we had 2 large robberies occur in our township. One with the plastic gun, or whatever type of gun it was, and then the gentleman going and smoking crack. My child walks up to the Wawa on Bensalem Boulevard, and Wawas don't have them. But what if it was a 7-Eleven that had them, and he happened to walk up at night? Because, it's Bensalem, for the most part, is pretty safe. And so he goes up, because I let him to walk up at 15, and somebody decides, and that Wawa has been robbed, but somebody decides to go in now because it's a store that does have one, and he gets shot because they have a real gun, because we did not stop it. So, I think for myself personally, I have put the thought of every single little girl that was there, every single little child that's there, that with hopefully the additional regulations that are put into play, that at least we are not going to be allowing a vacant store to get a proliferation of them in a store that we currently have, because we do have
I agree, you
retail.
should have regulation so that doesn't happen.
But that
I think
should come from the
consult
state
with-
level,
Consult
and
with
we-
industry on an agreeable regulation. That's
And
what
we are
normally
at that
government- a
place
lot
in
of
the
times
state, and I think
they
I would
cons-
like to rely on that for that portion of it, and I'm,
Well, they'll
So-
go to court, they'll have their time.
yes.
That was my only, is that to
No,
to consult with industry to get, proper regulation. You mimicked that bill, Joe, from the state, also, consult with industry. That was my comment.
And
All
I
right.
appreciate it,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you.
Mr. Pizzo, I'm sorry to keep asking you questions. I'm not attacking you. I just have not seen the bill that the state has.
That's why I'm here.
The bill the state has, are they getting money from these places for each machine that they're getting, that they're gonna make money on this, that none of that money comes here to the township, see, the state, the liquor licenses are one thing, but there's a lot of bars and restaurants that have liquor licenses that don't follow the laws. Again, I really feel that we should, if we're gonna do it, we should do it all, and not allow them at all. And if the state wants to do something different, that's on them. But what you're trying to do here is what you're saying the state's going to do it, maybe, because the state can change their mind or not pass it. We should do away with all of them. We shouldn't have any, we already have a casino in our township. We don't need every bar and restaurant being able to do these things too. And it's just my belief, and I feel really strong about this. I mean, it's something that we should be protecting the people of Bensalem with it, and that's just my feeling.
The bill that's currently pending in committee would provide, and forgive me, it's not an area that I focused on because it really didn't pertain to what we were doing here in Bensalem. But the bill does provide for a whole-scale scheme of regulation for these machines. That would include, I believe, licensing, background investigations of the owners of the companies that supply them, similar to the licensing and background investigations that currently apply to gaming within the Commonwealth. I believe it would also provide for some scheme of taxation of the proceeds of those machines, the same way that the state gaming regulation currently taxes machines that operate legally in the state under the purview of the State Gaming Control Board. But again, and very much to the point that I hopefully made earlier and want to continue to emphasize, those are not issues that we necessarily, I don't believe the township wants to get bogged down in, and at least in part because of the exchange that you just had with Mr. Ricciardi, which is perhaps the company that he's dealing with has one kind of machine that operates in a certain fashion, and another purveyor of these machines, another operator of these machines, has them in a different location in the township, and perhaps they don't have the same sorts of protections that he has on the machines in his store, or the way the amount of money that's stored in these machines at any one time, or the amount of money that's stored in the machines that are used as redemption terminals, all of which create attractive targets within the township. So when Director McVeigh and District Attorney Shorn were reporting to the administration instances that were occurring not only in the township but other communities, of whether it's, again, just in general people loitering in local businesses, playing these machines creating an attractive target for crime and for criminals, and putting people who otherwise are going into these commercial facilities, not otherwise being put in harm's way. And to your point, Mr. Polari, the drain on the police resources that having hundreds of these machines throughout the township create on our police, it's the health, safety, and welfare component that simply saying, no, we're not going to have them. And at some point of time, just as the state, if the state enacts a law that trumps anything we're doing, then that law trumps whatever it is we're doing. And if the state says they can be legally here or legally there, or that this company can operate them but this one can't because this company can get a license but this company can't, that's all within the purview of the state, and we'll have no say in it. But going forward, again, it was my recommendation when the issue was brought to me to help craft this ordinance, that you don't want to be in the business of regulating them. You don't want to be in the business. So whoever the company is that operates the machine that may end up in the E-House or the Fox Hunt Tavern or the VFW or the Knights of Columbus, whoever that is or might be, the township is not going to have any oversight or any say in who that is or how that machine operates, because we're saying that's not within our purview and not a road that we want to go down. What we're saying is that the effect that the ever-increasing number of these machines is having on our quality of life and on the drain on our law enforcement and those resources have gotten to the point where if the 5 of you or a majority of you agree, we're going to say no more in our township, and we'll wait to see what the state ultimately does. And the state may, in its infinite wisdom, come down on the side of Bensalem Township and prohibit them throughout the state. The state may turn around and start to treat them just like slot machines at Harrah's or Parks or Penn National, and regulate them in whatever fashion they're going to regulate them. And if the state turns around and says, Township, you might say that they can't be in a smoke shop, but we, the state, say they can, as is true in all things that we do as a creature of the Commonwealth, we have to defer to what the state tells us.
And I agree with you 100%, but I also think that if doing away with all rather than some is a better. Our police department does a phenomenal job. I'm sure the district attorney does a phenomenal job protecting us. I feel it's our job, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. Let's let the state make their decision, which we're not gonna have a decision on what the state does, and let's end them all now, so they don't have to worry about it at all right now. That's just my stance. Thank you.
District Attorney Sharon, I see you're standing up. Did you want to come up and add something to the conversation?
You know, we're all humans and we feel for you, and you were very articulate. I know you said you felt like you were not prepared. No, that's okay, but you conveyed the point, but there's a point I think I need to share, and it's what I hear time and time again from every victim of a violent crime. I didn't think it would happen to me until it did. So as much as you stand here saying, you know, my establishment's safe, you cannot guarantee the safety of your employees or yourself. And you can trust us that we did the work. And criminals know, and they identify targets and vulnerabilities. And I can assure you that your statement now is, I've heard it time and time again until it does happen. So I agree with this wise counsel in that I'm telling you, this is inviting a criminal element that will prey upon you and your employees. As much as I understand it provides a financial benefit, trust me when I say the catastrophic consequences, if you would be a victim or your employees, does not on balance justify advocating for this. But we recognize where you're coming from, and that's all I wanted to share. The only other final point is I have been to the state where I've seen the industry advocating for themselves for these skill machines. I say skill in air quotes. Councilman Knowles, I believe you hit the nail on the head. The skill element is a very questionable element, and it is certainly not in all devices, but at the end of the day, these games are advertising very clearly as slot-style machines, and they're inviting a criminal element. So thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward from the public to make comment on this proposed ordinance? How about council members? Are there any other comments you would like to make at this time? Not hearing any or seeing any, I'm going to ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance establishing and creating Chapter 134 local gaming devices for the Township Code, amending the following Chapter 64 Business, Chapter 105, Games of Chance, Chapter 160, Peace and Good Order, Chapter 210, Taxation, and repeal all inconsistent ordinances, and establishing an effective date therefor. And I make a motion that we approve the ordinance.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Is there any additional discussion on the motion? Not hearing any, I will call the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Any abstention? It carries 5-0. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, District Attorney, for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask for a recess. We'll take a recess for just a very short time, and we'll be back in just a moment, okay? Sure. We're going to resume the council meeting at this time. Agenda item number 6 is a consideration of a resolution authorizing and approving the subdivision and filing of a grant application. This is to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Financial Authority to be used for field lighting of the Robert Yezzi Memorial Park.
Good evening.
John, are you taking that, or are you just standing there?
Both. I'd like to.
Okay, go ahead.
How are you? Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight. In front of you is a resolution that as we do every time we have to submit a grant application, the Commonwealth Finance Committee or authority requires a authorized signers for the township for the submission of a grant. We are looking to submit to the local share account a grant in the amount of $679,709. This grant would be utilized to relight a field at Yezzi Memorial Park, which is Field 6, which is the large baseball field in the back. Currently has lights, existing lights are on wooden telephone poles, which have to be certified every so many years, as well as the lights are the old metal halide, so they are not energy efficient as well. And then the second part of the grant would go to lighting the girls' softball field, which is Field 3 at that park as well. So that would be our second opportunity to have a girls' softball lit field. So
Nice.
the two lighting of the fields, they would also go on the Musco wireless system, so we would be able to have it on timers and everything like that we currently have on all of our other fields.
Okay, so that's for 2 fields to add the lighting to?
Yes.
All right, and that's the information we need on that. So are there any questions from the council members?
Yes, I have a question. So this additional lighting, so Field 6, I've seen that.
Yes.
Field 3, where is that at?
So when you're driving down, you see a Field 6 on the left, Field 3 is on the right.
It's in the backside?
It's on the backside, yes.
Now, how is that in terms of, as you get closer to the creek bank, to the?
So it's not that field, when you're coming down, it's immediately on the right. There's, Field 6 is on the left when you pulled straight down, and then there's a field to the right of that. That is also a practice field for softball and/or baseball. However, the field that we're intended to light is far to the right, almost to the back of those houses right there.
Okay,
It'd be good to get a second girls softball field.
it definitely would. I was also thinking, I know that
We had Richland and Galway, we finally got one.
We do, yes.
we're getting a lot of people who are crossing over the creek and
Yeah, and
along the Bensalem side trying to.
The Ramblers
So-
organization unfortunately can't do a fall league per se because they can't host games at their own facility. So they're constantly, if they do have a fall program, they have to go somewhere else that is lit. And the same goes with the baseball program. The Legion teams, the American Legion teams utilize the larger field. And I know from experience, only 2 of the 6 teams that we faced this year actually had lit fields. So that creates a burden too on the parents having to have earlier games and everything like that, so.
And then we can maybe have a tournament using both Valley and Ramblers?
Sure.
So we're not traveling?
Absolutely.
As parents of baseball travel kids?
Okay, the resolution in front of us?
Can I make a comment, please?
Sure.
Because I've been waiting for this for 15 years. I know you knew I was going to have to say something.
No
I
problem.
can't wait to tell my daughters
Yep.
that Bensalem Ramblers softball field will have lighting.
Yep.
It's an incredible thing. Congratulations, girls, and all the coaches that put the time in. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I've been talking about it for a long time, so thank you for this.
Maybe they
Sure.
can become coaches over there. What do you think? They played.
Hey, they love it.
Okay, here we go. We have a resolution in front of us for a filing of submission for a grant.
You want to make the motion since you're so.
Yes, I would, thank you. This is amazing. I can't wait to talk to Rob Sponheimer about this one. This is awesome.
Just make the motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consideration of resolution authorizing and approving the submission and filing of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for the field lighting of the Robert Yezzi Memorial Park.
Motion on the floor?
I'll second
We have a second on the motion. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
And against, and abstentions, unanimous. Moving on to agenda item number 7.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Joey, I think you're going to have this one.
There you go. Consideration of a resolution of Bensalem Township Council authorizing and directing Bensalem Township and its solicitor to acquire certain easements on lands owned by Camden Properties. This is at State Road, Bensalem, also known as tax map parcel 02-065-022-001 for the acquisition of a temporary access and construction easement and a permanent shared use path and a trail easement. It's at 20, is that at 2467 State Road? Why don't I have that number written down there? Joe, you want to take that?
Certainly. You pretty much described what it is in your excuse me, in your description, Mr. Kisselback. What's happening is, as council, I believe, is aware, as part of the ongoing improvements along State Road in the vicinity of Waterside and the Broken Goblet, the township plans provide for the extension of the walking path and trail that currently extends along the frontage of Waterside to continue northward up State Road to Kamer Drive, where ultimately, and Phil, you please correct me if I say something that's incorrect, there will then be a crosswalk that will allow pedestrians to cross State Road and continue along a path that would take them to where the Broken Goblet and the two retail restaurant and distillery next to the Goblet are also located. So, in order to construct that and locate that walking path, it's going to be necessary for the township to condemn the temporary construction easement and the permanent shared use path and trail easement. Obviously, as the township is required under the state eminent domain code, once the township moves forward with the condemnation, or once you approve the township to move forward with the condemnation, we will go out and attempt to amicably acquire the easement from the property owner, and should we fail to do so, then the declaration of taking would be filed in common pleas court, and the property owner would be compensated for the value of the property, the easement and the temporary construction easement. The cost of which should be relatively nominal because we're talking about easements that are out along State Road, out of the building envelope, and therefore would have almost no impact on the property. In fact, arguably enhance the property by adding the sidewalk and the walking trail in front. So that the township can move forward with this action, and again, to add to the amenities that we're providing to homeowners as we continue to develop the township waterfront, we'd ask that the council authorize this condemnation and the acquisition of the permanent and temporary easements.
Okay, this is a resolution that's coming before us, so I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor unless there are any questions regarding this.
I'll put a motion on the floor. We accept the resolution as presented.
Okay,
I'll second it.
we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
And against, any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Let's move on to agenda item number 9. Number 8 has been continued to the November 25th meeting. And then we have number 9, which is a consideration of a land development extension agreement for Gibson Holdings, 1515 Gibson Road. This is number 8.
Yes, as council is asked to do from time to time, this is a land development extension agreement. This is for a project that's being constructed at property 1515 Gibson Road. Council, I believe, is familiar with this. This is, I forget if it's a 5 or 6 house subdivision that's being constructed on that property. If anyone's driven by there recently, you can see that the houses are in various states of construction. Most of the public improvements have been installed, but we're not quite to the state where the final wearing course and other aspects of the road have yet been constructed. In order to move forward and continue with the project, the developer has asked that the existing development agreement be extended for an additional year out to January 22nd of 2026. If council is of a mind to grant the request and extend the developer's agreement that's already in place, the administration would recommend that you do so on the condition that the developer's various escrow accounts be subject to audit by the finance department and the township engineer to make sure that sufficient funds remain in place for the ultimate construction of the public improvements and the completion of the project.
Okay, explained very well, Joseph. I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor for this development extension agreement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the land development extension agreement for Gibson Holdings LLC, 1515 Gibson Road, tax parcel 240540005, as an audit to make sure that we have the proper funds held back to make sure the projects are successfully completed.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second on the motion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And against and abstentions, that is unanimous. Let's move on to agenda item number 10. Quentin, you're up there? This is a request for a waiver of curbs and sidewalks installation subject to payments and of a fee in lieu of request. And there's two of them, excuse me. A is property perfection. You want to take that?
Yes. Good evening, council. So the first waiver of curb and sidewalks we have is on Mechanicsville Road. It does not currently have an address at the time of the memo, but it's at tax parcel 2-33-11-1. There's an existing curb at the location, so the developer is asking for a waiver just to sidewalks and for a fee in lieu at that location. We don't see any sidewalks in the area, so we recommended release or the fee in lieu to be paid.
So this is your recommendation?
Correct.
Okay.
So
Is there any
just
questions
to
from the
waive
council members? Go
Just
ahead.
to waive for sidewalks, right?
Just for sidewalks.
He's putting the curbs in, okay.
Yeah, the curb is actually already there.
Okay.
So this could potentially be a bus stop in the future?
I have no idea. I couldn't.
Because
tell
there's
you that.
homes, how many homes are going in there?
Just one. There's already houses on both sides of it.
Where is it at, 00?
So if you.
Is it
if
where
you're-
is it that lot that's for sale? I thought that was,
Between
No,
Galloway-
so
between Galloway-
if you're going, if you're on Galloway Road and you make a left to go toward.
Oh, the one at the high
Parks
school.
entrance, it's the 7th or 8th lot. So there's 7 houses, then there's a gap, and there's another house, and then there's the Woods for Parks Casino. So it's that last empty lot on the right-hand side going towards Street Road. There's just nothing but trees there right now.
It's right where Walt Wesselbeck used to live, right along.
it's right next to Bassett's house? Right next, okay. Right next to a split level? Okay. Sorry, I'm
Possibly.
thinking of the other corner. I apologize.
No,
I'm thinking
no.
of the corner of Mechanicsville and Galloway. and not
No,
on
that's a separate,
Mechanicsville.
that's a separate land development
Yeah,
project,
that's what-
subdivision.
Okay, let's put a motion on the floor if we're ready.
That one, okay, sorry, I apologize.
No problem.
Make a motion, this is, I'm sorry, for A?
Yes.
Item A. I'd like to make a motion to approve item 10A for applicant Property Perfection, Inc., located at 00 Mechanicsville Road, tax parcel 02033011-001, for approval. I'm sorry, for a waiver of curbs and sidewalks installation.
Just sidewalks.
For a waiver of sidewalks with a fee in lieu of.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second the motion.
Second on the motion. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 10B, the applicant is James D'Angelo Construction, 4728 Kickner Road,
Kleckner.
Kleckner Road.
Again, this is a waiver for curbs and sidewalks at this location. There's a new house that was proposed at this location. There's no curbing in the area or nor sidewalks in that area of Glen Ashton Farms. One of the things we are recommending waiver at this time. However, we are proposing that a gutter swale be installed in lieu of the widening being done at that
I'm
location.
sorry, say again?
A gutter swale. So to get the water off of the actual roadway, we don't want them pushing it to the edge of the road. We want them to get the water off of the road into the grass area to go down to an existing cross pipe at that location. So we're not putting the widening in, but we're going to have a drainage swale on.
So there is a sidewalk on, going around the bend, it's some sort of like tar
Gentlemen.
burn on both that corner, it's my neighborhood,
Mhm.
and I own the property right, so I go there. So there is a burn that goes into a sidewalk that goes all the way down to Kleckner on both sides of Kleckner, 295.
You
So-
finished?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just thinking there's already a curb at that corner, already built into that.
You mean
In
a
there.
blacktop curb, you mean?
It's a blacktop curb.
Right.
On both sides that I'm not sure who put it in. There is a sidewalk though that goes all the way down Kleckner.
Yeah, there's a
across the
sidewalk
street.
that goes underneath 95 down that area. you're
It
saying?
stops at 95.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't go any further.
Right, so this, if we did not waive it, there was nothing to connect into at that location. That's why we recommend a waiver.
It does carry a fee in lieu of, in case there is
Yeah, it's
opportunity.
not that, it's just that it's the way the water travels right there, all down to that, and it goes through the properties, going all the way across to go over 295, so.
Right. Yeah, so basically, if the widening did go in, the water would still come down Kleckner, come around Albert to a cross pipe on Albert. So the water would still be directed the same way, where it's just weren't putting in the widening, that's all.
And you're saying the swale would work better than a curb?
No, I mean, they both work there exactly the same. So if the swale does go in, they would have to do a cross pipe for the driveway unless they can redesign the driveway to create that swale, which I don't see that happening.
I don't even know, where's the driveway going?
If you're looking at the property, I believe the driveway is on the left side of the house that's going in.
So is it coming off of Kleckner or is it coming off of Albert?
It's coming up for Albert. So basically, if you're looking at the lot, it's an odd-shaped lot. So it's parallel with Albert, but then it goes vertical or,
It sits higher than the house across the street.
yes. So it's, from what I understand, the existing house that's on Kleckner is going to be closely about the same elevation as that existing house. But the house that's proposed is going to be lengthwise because of the shape of the lot.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a recommendation from Quentin. And it's for the
Make a
request of
motion.
a waiver of curbs and sidewalks installation, but it has a swale that's being added into it, and there will be a lieu and fee of $7,731.94. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
I'll make a motion that we approve the applicant's request that we give a waiver for curbs and sidewalks. We collect the fee in lieu of $7,731.94 as suggested, and that the homeowner, the person building the home, the builder or homeowner, would be required to establish a gutter swale within the right-of-way to be installed to channel the drainage runway to the existing roadway across, roadway cross pipe.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
We do have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any against, any abstentions? That is unanimous. Now, number 11 is going to be a consideration of a resolution for Act 537, Pennsylvania Sewerage Facility Act, the plan revision for new land development of a parcel of land identified as 700 Bristol Pike. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes, council recently granted land development approval for this project. You'll recall it's down on Bristol Pike, where the old Andalusia Drive-In property was, and they're coming in to construct a new building that's going to house physical therapy practice. As is the case with land development projects that you approve them conditioned upon the property owner or the developer getting all of the necessary approvals from various regulatory agencies at both the state and Commonwealth level. In this case, state approval is necessary for an amendment to the Township's Act 537 plan, which is the Township's official sewage facilities plan, in order to provide this property with sanitary sewer service. The resolution that's before you this evening is one that you've seen many times over. It's the standard form resolution that's required by the Department of Environmental Protection, and it's in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Okay, so we know what it is. Are there any questions from the council members? I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
Go ahead.
I'll put a motion on the floor to approve the Act 537 processing for tax parcel, map item 02023001.
So we have a motion on the floor for approval.
Second.
Second on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
And against, any abstentions? All right, let's move on to 12, and we have Quentin up at the podium
Yes.
already.
Uh,
Let's
so
go
this
with
is-
A.
Yes, this is an escrow release number 5 for Galloway Reserve, AKA Victory Square at 2670 Galloway Road. This is the final release for this project, $50,000. This was held until the developer could finalize their Bucks County Water and Sewer agreements, which has since been taken care of.
All right, we have we have the escrow release of $50,000 for Galloway Reserve. I need a motion on the floor. to
I'll make a
approve.
motion that we release the 50,000 as recommended by our engineer and audited by our finance department.
Do I have a
for
motion on the
Galloway
floor?
Reserve.
Second.
Second on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. And against, abstentions? How about B? Quentin?
Okay, yes.
Lavender Road.
This would be for 1430 Lavender Road. This is a newer project where there's 4 new houses being built. This is their first release. We are recommending release of the $139,574.75 for the improvements that have been completed at this time.
And you have only $18,000 remaining, and this is the beginning of the project?
Was that?
Did you say it's the beginning of this project?
No,
They're pretty quick on this job. It started about 2 or 3 months ago.
Okay,
So pretty much the work that was required on this project was pretty much curbing and widening to be done, stormwater management and landscaping and some other miscellaneous items. So the paving and widening work has been completed within the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
okay, we have a motion on the floor, we have a proposal for escrow release.
I'll make a motion that we approve Lavender Road for release number 1 for $139,574.75 as recommended by our engineer and audited by our finance department.
All right, motion on the floor. Do I need a second?
Second.
Second on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And against, any abstentions, unanimous? And we're going to C, Federation Housing, we know what that is?
Yes, this is Federation Housing at 4695 Somerton Road. This is the new facility that's being constructed at this time. We're recommending release of $150,958 for improvements that have been completed at this time.
Okay, so we have a proposal on the Federation Housing for a release of $150,958.
I'll make a motion that we release for Federation Housing, release number 3 for $150,958 as recommended by our engineer and audited by our finance department.
All right, I need a second on that motion.
Second.
I have a second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And against, any abstentions, unanimous. Let's go to 12D, which is TIC Associate Phase 1 release. That's 4626 Somerton Road. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have release number 1 for TIC Associates at 4626. We've checked the items. This job has been going on for some time. This is their first release. The project is almost near completion. So we are recommending release of the $805,000. $72.50.
Okay. I need a motion on this.
I'll make a
release.
motion that we provide the release for TIC Associates Phase 1, release number 1, 4626 Somerton Road, $805,072.50 as recommended by our engineer and audited by our finance department.
So we do have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Second on the motion. All those in favor? Aye. And against, any abstentions? How about E? This is a Waterside Phase 2 release on State Road. The tax map parcel is 2-65-22-2-64-138 and 2-67-139 in the amount of $343,543.85. All right, anything else? On Waterside.
Yes, I wasn't sure. I was trying.
That's okay, that's why I followed through for you.
So this is for Waterside Phase 2. Majority of the work has been completed. We are working on the final punch list on the project, but we are recommending release of $343,543.85.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have proposal
Yeah,
on the
I'll make a
floor?
motion that
Can
we.
I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. The walkway path, where is that at?
Pardon me?
The walkway path that we're releasing $130,000
That's along
for?
State Road.
Is that the,
The paved walkway that was, the one that we were just talking about for the condemnation?
Yes.
That's that area right there along.
that was my question. I
Yep.
wasn't sure if this was in the back that,
No,
I'm not
there's still pathway that need to be done in the back.
okay, that was my question, why we were releasing funding if more on that part, but this is,
Just the paved area in the front.
it's to pave the area in the front,
Mhm.
but we're releasing it. Oh, they're going to, so they can pave the area.
No, it's paved already.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion on this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we release for Waterside Phase 2, release number 2, $343,543.85 as recommended by our engineer and audited by our finance department.
All right, so motion on the floor. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Any other ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
There we go, okay, F. Aye, it's right, Waterside Phase
Aye,
3.
aye, aye.
Yes, so this is Waterside Phase 3, release number 1. We're in the process of finalizing this as well, but we are recommending release of $1,389,201.25.
You sure? It's a lot of money. Are
Yeah.
you sure?
Well, based on our job breakdown, yes,
We still have 382,000, so.
correct.
And how many homes are going in Phase 3?
I don't know, but they're done.
It's done
They're
now.
done.
Yeah.
And we don't have issues like we,
For,
didn't we have
We had
issues
issues
with
at
the other
Phase
phases?
1 and 2, but, yeah.
We have issues,
We're-
but
issues-
they're being addressed, and the amount of the escrow that that we're saving for later is adequate.
So Phase 3 has issues also?
well,
To
till
the-
they're,
to the
till they're
turn-
completed, yes.
$382,000.
They're in the process right now of prepping for the paving to get that done in the next week or two,
Okay.
which will finalize most of the work out there, except for our punch list.
Okay, any other questions? Can I have a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion that we release for Waterside Phase 3, release number 1, tax parcel 26522, 264,138, and 267,139, $1,389,201.25, as recommended by our engineer and ordered by our finance department.
We have two different tax map parcels, one on this one and one on the agenda, a little different. The last one is 26439 on the TPD letter. And the agenda says it, as Joe just mentioned, 267.
I'd have to double check that parcel number for you.
Okay, so that being said, the parcel number will be corrected, but the amount is correct.
Correct.
All right,
Yeah, it should be 60.
okay? We have a motion on the floor. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
You guys are tuckered out here. I'll tell you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Second, all those in favor signify with an eye.
Aye.
Aye, and against, the abstentions unanimous. All right, how about number 13, agenda? Thank you very much. Quentin.
Yep.
Consideration of reduced fire inspection fee and permit fees for Church of the Redeemer of their annual fire inspection fees located at 1065 Bristol Pike, Bensalem.
Yes, Church of the Redeemer, as I know all of you are aware, is the church next to the King Library.
Right,
They are requesting that the annual fire inspection fee be reduced by 50%, as is recommended, or as is the practice of the council for applications of this type. It would reduce the fee from $210 down to $105 if council grants the request.
okay. That's explained very well. I'd like to have a motion on this, please.
I'll make a motion that we reduce the fee for Church of the Redeemer from 210 to 105 as requested.
I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second on the motion. All those in favor? Aye. How about 13B, Bensalem School District? And that's,
Yes, the school district is undertaking upgrades and system replacements to the HVAC system that serves Faust Elementary School. The permit application fee for the work to be performed is $9,748. The school district is asking for a 50% reduction. Such a request is consistent with council's prior practices and your policies in place. Such a reduction would reduce the permit fees down to $4,874 if council were to grant the request.
okay, there's the information. Any other questions? Any comments on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve for the school district maintenance department for Faust School, a reduction of 50% for fees to $4,874 as requested.
Second.
I have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. And how about agenda item? Okay, on to 14, public comment. Okay. We have no public in the auditorium here. We'll close that. On to other business from personnel, and I'll go down the list. Phil, would you like to add anything this evening?
No, Mr. President.
Debbie, how about yourself? Mr. Ferris, would you like to add something?
Yes, it's been a pleasure.
It's our pleasure. Okay, Mr.
Opposite
Plaza?
Two things very quickly.
It's a pleasure if you let him do all the work.
I was going to add that as well.
Okay, great.
As a former board member, current coach, and dad of a girl athlete, thank you to the administration and thank you for the council for pursuing the additional lighted fields down at Bensalem Ramblers, and for replacing the lights on Field 6, where both my sons played ball for a number of years. The other thing, which I'm sure all of you will say, so I won't belabor the point, but Pride Day was, or the Fall Festival was a wonderful day, wonderful, certainly weather-wise a wonderful day, but it was a wonderful event, and I just wanted to pass along my congratulations and appreciation to all the hard work that everyone at all levels of township government put into making that day a success.
Okay, Joseph, thank you. Michelle, I want to go to you.
Okay. I have a couple of things. Wow. Our Bensalem Police Department makes us very proud every day. And they shine so bright that everybody else recognizes it too. I want to congratulate them for their efforts on 2 recent recognitions. They were recognized by the Bucks County NAACP as for a Community Partner Award for their contributions to working over many years with different levels of leadership and working with us in council, creating boards for citizens to be participants in the hiring process, for being good communicators and sharing information, always being available, being innovative, and taking the charge in creating a diverse workforce, and really a great community partner. So congratulations to the Community Partner Award there. And then the CALIA recognition that our department received, which is a Gold Star accreditation from, let me get this right, the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, Inc. Bensalem Police Department was recognized for Gold Star standard for their commitment to professional excellence. We thank you for your continued dedication and efforts to shine in this community. With that, happy Veterans Day. We won't see you before then. Thank you to all of our veterans who serve. Kids, have a happy Halloween. Be safe out there. Have fun. And to all of my friends who celebrate Diwali, I will leave you with a quick quote. Happy Diwali to you. May the lights of Diwali brighten up your life with endless prosperity. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Polari?
I have nothing.
Nothing this evening? Mr. Knowles?
Yes, I would like to
add on to Ms. Benitez's comments. Happy Diwali. The Festival of Lights, I think, is Friday. Veterans Day, congratulations to our veterans. I think on Saturday, we moved the clocks back an hour, so remember that. And then Halloween, be safe on Halloween night. It's going to be 85 degrees or 80 degrees on Halloween night. And it's good because I'm going out as an Olympic swimmer, so that really works out for me. So really worked out, you know? I was worried about the cold. But that's all I got, thank you.
How do you follow that?
Go ahead, Stacy.
So I will echo Ms. Benitez's kudos to our amazing police department, our amazing public safety department, just all great people. They are fantastic to both our residents and our visitors who come into this township. And everybody, to all our veterans, thank you, especially my husband, my father, my brother. And to have a happy and safe Halloween. Enjoy, kids. Be careful. Make sure you look before you cross that road and have something bright on somewhere, even if it's just a light-up wrist thing.
And look for Joe.
And and happy Diwali to all of our friends who celebrate.
Okay, I'll just say ditto to everything that was said this evening, but also don't forget, in 8 days is Election Day, November the 5th, and that's important that we get out there and vote. And then, of course, Veterans Day is November 11th, and that's to my, as you, I just said, we're having family and myself in there.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
And we all appreciate what everybody has done. And I would even move that towards our police department in terms of what they do for us too. Okay? And that's it. Let's say goodnight, everybody. Have a wonderful day.